Pittsburgh lawyer Frank Walker, frankwalkerlaw.com. Real talk, real experience, real results when it matters most. And Frank, kind enough to join us. Frank, we're actually getting some optimism, I guess would be the word to describe it, in terms of the NFL labor situation. Lawyers were involved. They have been involved, and they've been kicked out at some point. I guess next week they're going to kick the lawyers back out of things again. As a guy who litigates for a living, would you like to have a hand in this? I mean, is this something that a lawyer would love to be a part of, or is this just a mess?
Well, Ken, I think it's a little bit of both, but it's a structured mess, if you will, because I think attorneys, we're trained to look at the big picture. We're trained to represent our clients and zealously represent our clients from the big picture. So a lot of times clients, they want to talk candidly to the other party and come up with some agreement before the lawyers get involved, because once lawyers get involved, there's certain things that the client may not see. They may not think about, how will this affect me long-term? How will this affect our agreement long-term, whether it's criminal or whether it's a labor issue? How will this affect my organization or me personally down the road? Will I be precluded from renewing this agreement? Will I have any issues with another collective bargaining agreement later on down the road? So it's a little bit of both. I like that the lawyers were involved. That gave me optimism, because I'm ready to play fantasy football, and I'm also ready to watch football. But I think the main issue is that they come in to finalize all the issues, look at the documents, put their stamp of approval on it so we can go forward. But the fact that they got kicked back out, I don't think the fans should be discouraged. I think it's just a part of the process.
Yeah, and I guess sometimes it takes a lawyer to understand how to word things, right? I mean, I'm sure there are owners and players that know sort of what they want as far as an end result, but you guys are putting it into terms that make it official, right? Exactly.
And I think the attorneys can appreciate the language and the legal ramifications of what can happen and what needs to be inserted where, how many times the person needs to sign, and what is the legal effect of these documents that are going forward to being executed. So I'm optimistic. I think that they can get it done. I'm hopeful that they can get it done. I think there are millions of fans around the world that want to see some football this fall.
We are talking with Pittsburgh lawyer Frank Walker, frankwalkerlaw.com, and their motto, real talk, real experience, real results. You're available for people. Frank, tell about your what services you provide.
Well, I do mostly criminal defense. I do personal injury, medical malpractice. And I'm back in the criminal defense realm after being away doing personal injury and med mal for a while. But I do mostly criminal defense. I focus on the DUIs, anything from the low traffic ticket issue or anything up to a homicide. All the criminal defense, all the spectrums of the criminal defense, from the magistrate hearing all the way up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court.
Well, would you represent Kenny Britt if he came into your place? Titans receiver, back on the arrest meter. He pled guilty to reduced charges from an April car chase and sort of park and walk away nonchalantly. He was arrested in Jersey on 2 counts of resisting arrest. Complaint states that he did purposely prevent or attempt to prevent a public servant from lawfully performing an official function by means of force or violence, specifically by refusing to open your hand when ordered to do so and pulling your hand away. It's unclear exactly why they were trying to arrest him. I mean, he's been a little erratic here for a long time. What would you say to Kenny Britt if he came in with this kind of problem?
I would say, look, you need to get some help. I mean, this is getting out of control. I mean, you have the opportunity to do things that people only dream about. I mean, people wake up every day and most people don't want to go to their job, but you wake up every day and you do a job that people would love to do, and you're taking it for granted. I think this is an opportunity to straighten up and straighten out. I think you should look at the other athletes who have gotten in issues, and they've straightened up, gotten counseling, got professional help, got mentors, and they've moved forward with their lives. But he needs to get this straightened out, because it's snowballing. And once you start it down that road, I mean, you can end up, there's other athletes who have been pretty much marred because they've been in the criminal justice system so many times over and over and over again. And other teams, even though they're a great athlete and could be a great asset to their team, they overlook them because they figure they don't want to deal with a headache. And why would anyone want to deal with that? But I think if he came in my office, I would definitely sit him down and have some real talk with him and say, look, this is messing up your career, and I think you need to think about the long-term ramifications of your actions.
Yeah, and when you see somebody so talented, you hate to see it go that way. And then again, my always temptation, and I'm sure that you deal with this all the time, is not to rush to judgment. I know athletes say this to me all the time. We're in the public spotlight. Sometimes it's not our fault. We're targeted, and we get put in tough situations, and that all can be true, right?
Yes, it can be, but I think there's opportunities to stay out of those positions if you would think clearly and say, hey, I am in the public spotlight. There are certain things maybe it's not a good idea to do. Maybe I shouldn't go out to the club. Maybe I shouldn't go out and hanging out with people who are not in my circle of influence positively. Maybe I should just stay home, have a family night. Maybe I should go catch a movie. Maybe I should go somewhere else. Maybe I should just stay home and maybe practice my chip shot in the backyard. But there's certain things that you can do to stay out of those situations, and I think most of the athletes should think twice before going out and putting themselves in that position.
And then there are situations where you win a world championship where you don't want to stay home, of course. And DeShawn Stevenson of the Dallas Mavericks, after the win over LeBron James and the Heat, was arrested on public intoxication charges. I guess he was wandering around an apartment complex where he doesn't live. Cops showed up. He said he was lost. They gave him a field sobriety test, and he failed. How serious is that offense possibly?
Well, it's very serious because not only did he fail the test, but the issue is what else was going on. I mean, was he? Thankfully, he wasn't driving, and he didn't injure anyone else, or he didn't injure anyone else as he was walking. But just being out there like that, I mean, world championship or not, I mean, you still have to abide by the rules. I mean, there's long-term consequences of your actions, and walking around like that, you're a public figure. Everyone knows who you are. They just saw you. Millions of people watch you just on TV win the championship. You don't think they're going to recognize you? I think it's an opportunity to reevaluate themselves and maybe just stay home.
I think most people would be surprised that if you're just – I mean, public intoxication, you hear that thrown around a good bit, but as you said, he's not behind the wheel of a car, but that's still – there are limits as to kind of your actions that you can lay out in a public place, right?
Exactly. I mean, this thing – if I'm not drunk and I'm driving and I see someone who is walking and driving, he may not consciously be aware of his limitations or consciously be aware of his limited functions and not look around and see his surroundings and abide by the street laws and walk on the walks. He may just walk out in a red light and I'm rolling through, walk out on a green light and I'm rolling through thinking everything's okay, and he's just wandering and going to the road. He gets hurt. Another driver gets hurt. I mean, it's just there's so many instances where public intoxication can be harmful. I mean, it's not just for public athletes, it's for anyone. It can be for young children. I'm not young children, but people who are underage. And they're thinking, oh, this is the grown-up thing to do. I want to be cool. I'm 19. I'm in college. I'm free. Let me go out and have a couple drinks. And then you're out on the road. You're thinking, oh, I'm not driving. Police can stop you. They can stop you. You could be under arrest. You can have someone on your record. You need to get it expunged. You can be prevented from getting loans, prevented from getting a job. There's just so many issues there.
Criminal defense lawyer Frank Walker, frankwalkerlaw.com, and the website, the best place to go, Frank, for people that look to get a hold of your services?
Yes, they have my contact information there. My 1-800 number is there. The phones are answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have the information. They can check me out. A lot of times you hear people, they have their website, but there's no information, nothing about their background that gives them that qualifies them as the attorney that needs to be called in that situation. So you can look at my background, you can check me out, read some of the results of the cases. Obviously, they're not typical in each case. Each case is different, but you can look at some of the crimes and what you could be facing. There's maximum penalties on my website. There are issues there's tips on my website. There's like 10 tips, criminal tips that everyone needs to know. You can download a copy of that, stick it on your refrigerator, or keep it in your car. There's a lot of information on the website, so definitely visit frankwalkerlaw.com.
Always a pleasure, Frank. We'll talk to you next week.
I appreciate it, Ken.
That's Frank Walker, frankwalkerlaw.com, our sports and legal segment. He's a Pittsburgh lawyer, and I like just talking to him. He sounds like a guy you can trust to me. Check him out, though. Check him out on his website. As he says, all those tips are there. And it's been another week. Every week there's something going on. Kenny, Britt, and DeShawn Stevensson, you got to love that. Just has somebody call the cops on him as he's just drunk and wandering. DeShawn Stevenson has a tattoo of Abraham Lincoln on his neck also, which is incredible.